Welcome back to Roast Reality, where influence burns brighter than fame and truth still tries to keep up. Today's episode is different. It was written before the tragedy that took the life of Charlie Kirk, a man whose voice, for better or worse, shaped the conversation of an entire generation. This isn't a roast of the dead. It's a reflection on the world that made him necessary. Because long before that day in Utah, Charlie Kirk had already become a symbol of influence, ideology, and the algorithmic age of conviction. So take this as it was meant to be. Not mockery, but analysis. Not judgment, but perspective. Because whether you admired him or opposed him, one thing is certain. He understood how power really works in a world built on attention. Let's begin. But before we continue, a short note. This video was partially written and recorded before the tragic event that took Charlie Kirk's life. We've chosen to release it, not as a mockery, but as a commentary on the phenomenon of influence he represented. Charlie Kirk was one of the most polarizing voices in American media, and his death marks the end of an era, but also a moment to ask what his rise truly says about our culture. This episode is satire, but it's also remembrance. A look at how outrage became an economy and how conviction became content. So if you choose to watch, watch with thought, not anger, with context, not bias. Because what you're about to see isn't about a man, it's about a mirror. You know what most people do after dropping out of college? They either start a tech startup or join a pyramid scheme. Charlie Kirk looked at both and said, why not do both but with flags and microphones? At 18, he writes one viral tweet about education, and suddenly he's in the White House, shaking hands with people who still think TikTok is a communist mind control app. That's when he found his niche. Not truth, not facts, not even logic. No, his real product was certainty. He built Turning Point USA, a movement that looks patriotic but feels more like a conservative Disneyland. There's merch, there's music, there's a stage. And somewhere between the Jesus quotes and the freedom slogans, someone's selling a $50 t-shirt. Charlie didn't create a political movement. He created a marketing funnel for outrage. He doesn't mobilize minds. He monetizes feelings. Because in the attention economy, you don't need to be right. You just need to be loud. And Charlie? He's basically the Elon Musk of moral panic. Overconfident, underinformed, but perfectly optimized for engagement. It's funny. Some people drop out of college. Charlie Kirk dropped out of reality. Here's the thing about outrage. It's addictive. It gives you the rush of feeling right without doing the work of being right. Charlie Kirk figured that out early. While most people try to solve problems, he realized it's way more profitable to describe them, loudly, repeatedly, and with sponsors. Turning Point USA isn't a think tank. It's a rage factory with a merch table. They call it empowering young conservatives. But let's be honest, it's mostly about selling tickets, t-shirts, and the illusion of rebellion. Coming this summer, TPUSA Live, the only festival where freedom is free, but Wi-Fi costs extra. The man built a business on emotion, outrage in, donations out. And the secret ingredient? Algorithms that treat anger like a growth hormone. Every clip, every quote, every staged argument is optimized to trigger someone. Ideally everyone. He doesn't need to convince you. He just needs you to react. Because reaction means clicks. Clicks mean views, and views mean cha-ching. That's the new capitalism, monetizing division. Once upon a time, corporations sold soda. Now they sell ideology with a side of dopamine. And Charlie's not alone. Mr. Beast sells hope. Logan Paul sells hype. Charlie Kirk sells hysteria, and the more divided people become, the stronger his brand gets. Because in this economy, unity doesn't trend. He's not fueling the culture war. He's franchising it. If Apple had a version of patriotism, it would look exactly like Turning Point USA. Bright lights, big screens, a logo that feels like it was designed by someone who really, really wanted to sell you freedom in 3 easy payments. Their events look less like political conferences and more like Coachella for capitalism. Fog machines, fireworks, TikTok influencers in suits, And somewhere on stage, Charlie Kirk saying something between a sermon and a sales pitch. They call it Empowering Young Conservatives, but it looks suspiciously like a youth rally sponsored by a credit card company. Freedom isn't free, but the hoodie is $49.99 and comes with a lifetime supply of moral superiority. Turning Point mastered what politicians never could: branding. They didn't build a movement. They built a content pipeline. Every clip is pre-edited for virality. Every slogan is meme-tested in focus groups. Even the outrage is scripted. It's like a Netflix series with worse writing, but higher engagement. This isn't politics anymore. It's entertainment with consequences. Charlie Kirk isn't just influencing voters. He's influencing aesthetics. He turned propaganda into pop culture, and pop culture into a product line. Because in modern America, you don't need to change minds. You just need to go viral long enough for someone to buy a ticket. He turned democracy into merch, and honestly, it's kind of genius, in a terrifying way. Charlie Kirk didn't become famous because people agreed with him. He became famous because the algorithm did. See, social media doesn't reward truth, it rewards emotion. And outrage? That's the most efficient emotion in the system. It's like digital caffeine. It wakes you up, keeps you scrolling, and makes you argue with strangers you'll never meet. If you want engagement, don't make people think. Make them feel, preferably angry. Every platform has its own language. YouTube loves drama, Twitter loves conflict, TikTok loves chaos. And Charlie? He speaks all three fluently. He's not a political leader. He's a content strategist. Every debate, every gotcha moment, every viral clip is just performance engineered for algorithms. He's basically an influencer who replaced dance challenges with cultural panic attacks. And the system loves it, because anger keeps people online, and time online keeps advertisers happy. So the more he provokes, the more the machine promotes. In the old days, power meant owning the land. Today, power means owning the feed. And Charlie Kirk? He doesn't just understand the algorithm. He is the algorithm. Predictable, emotional, and profitable. When outrage becomes a business model, truth becomes a rounding error. Let's talk about authenticity. That magic word everyone online keeps repeating while wearing invisible microphones and sponsored hoodies. Charlie Kirk sells authenticity the same way Starbucks sells community. Mass-produced, branded, and conveniently available in every algorithm. He speaks like your angry neighbor, dresses like your youth pastor, and argues like your uncle after 3 podcasts. It's not an accident. It's aesthetics of sincerity. The lighting, the tone, the pauses. All calculated. He doesn't want to sound perfect. He wants to sound real enough to be trusted and angry enough to be shared. Look, I'm just asking questions, he says, right before answering them himself, loudly. It's performance disguised as honesty, a brand wearing the mask of conviction. Because in the influencer economy, you don't need to tell the truth. You just need to feel true. Mr. Beast builds wells. Charlie builds echo chambers. Different tools, same outcome. Attention is currency. And the more relatable he becomes, the more his followers believe they're part of something pure. When really, they're part of a marketing ecosystem optimized for outrage. That's the genius of manufactured authenticity. It doesn't need to convince your mind. It just needs to comfort your bias. In the digital age, sincerity isn't dead. It's just heavily edited. There was a time when politics was about ideas. Now it's about impressions. And Charlie Kirk understood that faster than anyone. He doesn't debate. He performs. Every word, every gesture, every mic drop moment is crafted for replay value. He's not arguing for truth. He's auditioning for engagement. Okay, Charlie, that last take was good, but can you say freedom with a little more emotional capitalism? His podcast isn't a forum. It's a stage. His speeches aren't discussions. They're content drops. He's basically turned politics into a genre of entertainment, like reality TV, but everyone's angry and no one wins a car. And the audience? They play their part too. They're not citizens anymore. They're fans. They don't want nuance, they want narrative. He gives them heroes, villains, and a constant feeling that they're part of a cultural war that mostly exists inside the comment section. It's not debate, it's WWE for people with political opinions. There's drama, there's shouting, and every episode ends the same way, with merch, applause, and moral superiority. Charlie Kirk doesn't lead a movement. He directs one. And in the digital age, leadership isn't about conviction anymore. It's about performance value. The tragedy is, it works. Because people don't crave truth. They crave validation. And nothing validates you faster than someone confidently shouting what you already believe. In today's world, confidence has replaced competence. You don't need to be right. You just need to sound right, with good lighting and a podcast mic. Charlie Kirk mastered that. He speaks with the calm authority of someone who's never been interrupted by a fact. That's the secret. The louder you sound, the less people check what you're saying. Because certainty feels safer than truth. He says, "Listen, folks, I know exactly what's wrong with America." But what he really means is, I'm about to sell you a simplified story that fits your feelings. Confidence is the new charisma. It hypnotizes. It gives you that dopamine rush of clarity in a world that's built on confusion. People don't follow data. They follow tone. They don't trust reason. They trust rhythm. Charlie doesn't speak to inform. He speaks to perform certainty. Every statement is a sermon. Every opinion, a prophecy. He doesn't argue with people. He argues at them, like a preacher who discovered the subscribe button. And that's why he wins attention, because the internet doesn't care if you're right. It cares if you're confident enough to make other people doubt themselves. In the age of influence, truth whispers. But confidence trends, and when charisma becomes a substitute for wisdom, democracy becomes customer service. Let's be honest, Charlie Kirk isn't an accident. He's a product, not of ideology, not even of politics, but of the influence industry. We used to have industries for oil, cars, and steel. Now we manufacture attention, and the raw material is you. Charlie just figured out how to mine outrage the way Elon Musk mines tweets. He's not the only one. Mr. Beast sells hope. Logan Paul sells hype. Charlie Kirk sells hysteria. Different flavors, same business model. Convert emotion into revenue. The platforms don't care what you believe. They just want you to believe harder. Every argument, every hot take, every debate is just free labor for the algorithm. Congratulations. Your emotional instability has generated 12,000 impressions and 3 new sponsors. Influence isn't a movement anymore. It's a market, a self-sustaining ecosystem where authenticity is currency and controversy is marketing. And the real genius of it all? It doesn't even matter if you like Charlie Kirk. As long as you react to him, you're part of the machine. He's not controlling people. He's just surfing the waves of their frustration. Because in 2025, the most powerful position in the world isn't president. It's trending. And the influence industry, it doesn't sell truth or lies. It sells attention. And it never runs out of customers. Control doesn't start with power. It starts with permission. And the truth is, most people don't want freedom. They want certainty that feels like freedom. Charlie Kirk understands that psychology better than most therapists. He doesn't tell people what to think. He tells them why they're right to feel what they already feel. That's how influence works. It doesn't fight your beliefs. It hijacks them. Every time you feel anger, pride, or fear online, someone's measuring it, optimizing it, and turning it into engagement metrics. The real puppet master isn't ideology, it's dopamine. Outrage gives you that quick hit, a tiny chemical victory in a world that feels uncontrollable. You click, you argue, you share, and you think you're winning. But the only one keeping score is the algorithm. Charlie doesn't need to change your mind. He just needs to keep you emotionally invested. The longer you stay angry, the longer he stays relevant. He didn't hack democracy. He hacked neurochemistry. We used to say information is power. Now it's emotion. Whoever controls how you feel controls what you'll believe. And that's why control today doesn't look like censorship. It looks like choice overload. You think you're picking your opinions, but the algorithm already picked your emotions. That's the new kind of control. The one that doesn't take your freedom. It just directs it. Let's be honest, Charlie Kirk didn't build this system alone, we did. Every click, every angry comment, every how dare he share, it all added fuel to the fire. We didn't just watch outrage culture, we crowdfunded it. The algorithm didn't pick him at random. It studied us, our fears, our insecurities, our desperate need to feel right. And it served us the perfect reflection. A confident face, a simple answer, and a message that says, "You're not part of the problem. You're the hero." We made that viral. We made that profitable. We made that normal. Because outrage feels good. It makes you feel alive, involved, like your opinion matters. Even when it's just feeding the machine. You think you're fighting the system? No, you're training it. Every argument you win online teaches the algorithm what keeps you angry. Every debate you share tells it what to sell you next. And the irony? The more you rage against people like Charlie Kirk, the more you make him trend. That's the mirror no one likes to look into, because the scariest truth isn't that he's manipulating us. It's that we're cooperating. Influence isn't something done to us anymore. It's something we participate in. We don't just follow the outrage, we feed it. From Mr. Beast to Charlie Kirk, this whole season wasn't really about people. It was about power. Not the political kind, the psychological kind. Because in 2025, influence is power. Not armies, not laws. Just the ability to make people look. Attention has become the new oxygen, and everyone's gasping for it. Some build orphanages, some build outrage. Different tools, same hunger. We used to chase meaning. Now we chase metrics. We used to measure truth by facts. Now we measure it by engagement rate. And maybe that's the saddest part. We replaced belief with branding, and purpose with performance. The influencer isn't a celebrity anymore. He's a mirror, a reflection of what we reward, what we amplify, what we crave. Charlie Kirk isn't the disease. He's the symptom, a natural consequence of a culture that confuses conviction with content. Influence is seductive because it feels like agency. It makes you feel seen, powerful, relevant. But the moment you depend on it, you become its product. And that's the paradox of modern fame. The more you try to lead people, the more you end up following the algorithm. We built this world where outrage trends, truth scrolls unnoticed, and silence has no monetization strategy. And still, we ask, why are people like Charlie Kirk so powerful? Because we gave them that power, one click at a time. There's a strange thing about influence. It outlives the person who wields it. When Charlie Kirk died, so did part of the noise that defined a generation. But not the echo. The echo stays. Because influence is a kind of digital immortality. Your words keep circulating long after you're gone. Your ideas get quoted, remixed, distorted, defended. The algorithm doesn't mourn. It archives. And maybe that's the most haunting truth of all. In this era, no one ever really disappears. They just keep trending in new contexts. Charlie Kirk was many things to many people. A provocateur, a believer, a manipulator, a messenger. But beyond the controversy, he was a reflection of how power has evolved. He didn't invent outrage, he industrialized it. And whether you agreed or despised his message, he understood something most of us still ignore. That attention is the real currency of power. So maybe this isn't the end of a story. Maybe it's just a reminder that our creations, our movements, our content, our outrage, keep living with or without us. The greatest illusion of influence is thinking you control it. The greatest irony is that it continues to control the world even after you're gone. Charlie Kirk is gone. But the system that built him, that celebrates certainty and monetizes anger, is still here. And that's what this season was always about. Not a man, a mechanism, not a villain, a mirror. Maybe that's the legacy of influence, to prove that ideas never die. They just adapt to the next feed. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. And may we learn from the noise you left behind. This was Influence Burn, reality roasted, absurdity exposed, and truth still buffering. If you think the roast ends here, you're wrong. Because while Punchline Protocol exposes the absurdity, Dark Side Stories reveals the machinery behind it. The hidden deals, the psychological traps, the invisible hands shaping what you call truth. Different format, same mission, to show what power looks like when the lights go out. So if you want to know why influence exists and what really drives the world behind the punchline, step into the box. Box, Dark Side Stories. Link in the description. Where laughter fades and the truth gets uncomfortably real. See you inside.